Good morning, Faith Covenant. My name is Nicollet Shepherd, and happy Juneteenth. What is Juneteenth? The history books have glorified Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation for freeing the slaves. But if we're going to keep it real, that only applied to those slaves that lived near the Union lines, where they could flee their plantations and take advantage of the opportunities of the North. Around 500,000 black people managed to do this. Juneteenth, or June 19th, is a powerful moment in black history, dating back to June 19th, 1865, the day the Union soldiers led by General Gordon Granger went into Galveston, Texas, with the news that the Civil War was over. Texas' 250,000 slaves were officially free. 1865. That was a whole 2.5 years after Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. In those 2 years, black people's newfound freedom was rejected by white people. But General Granger stood up and issued an order known as Order Number 3 to the people of Texas, proclaiming all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. And Juneteenth was born. Our Independence Day, our 4th of July. Of course, it wasn't that simple. We weren't free, they just announced it. This new freedom sparked violence and backlash from white people. Former Confederate soldiers, still in uniform and with guns, intimidated black people, continuing a new form of slavery. They did this by murdering, lynching, and harassing free slaves. But we were resilient. None of their intimidation tactics stopped our ancestors from accepting and celebrating newfound freedom. And they celebrated defiantly. The first public Juneteenth event took place in 1866. Former slaves read the Emancipation Proclamation, something which was pretty bold to do in the 1860s South. They also sang spirituals and played games. The free men and women of Texas took their celebrations wherever they went: Los Angeles, Oakland, Seattle, Chicago, Virginia, you name it. But by the 20th century, Jim Crow laws were in full effect, and freedom started to feel like a foreign concept, and Juneteenth celebrations didn't happen that often. But the fight for freedom needed to continue. The Poor People's March of 1968 brought new life into the holiday. In 1980, Texas recognized it as a state holiday, and in 1997, Congress recognized June 19th as Juneteenth Independence Day. Over 150 years after the first Juneteenth celebration, President Joe Biden signed a bill that was passed by Congress to set aside Juneteenth as a federal holiday, which was just last year. Juneteenth is not just about freedom, but the fight of our ancestors, the determination and consideration that one day their children and their children's children will be free. Faith, today as we remember Juneteenth, or Freedom Day, let's bow our head in prayer. Dear God, grant us grace to contend fiercely against evil and make no peace with oppression. Help us be like the generations before us, who resisted the evil of slavery and human bondage in any form. Help us use our freedoms to bring justice to all people and nations. In His name, in Jesus Christ's name, amen.